The only question I have on Julian Pollard, my recollection is approved pending verification of his amateur record. The second part of that he did not lose his last fight more than 1 year ago. I don't recall that.
I called Jim Perella.
It's probably moot. He already has fought professionally in Rhode Island now. It's just more of just that the minutes accurately reflect. I remember the verification of his amateur record. I don't
He said,
remember the second part of that.
yeah, that he did not lose his last fight more than a year ago. I don't remember that.
Just doesn't make sense to me.
Might have been just transcribed.
Scratch that out.
Wasn't the issue that the fight records were, there was disparity in the fight records between the guy he was fighting and his record, and that the concern might have been that where he had a losing record, or a record that wasn't as good as the other guy, that was such, the fight was so long ago? Wasn't that the case?
He's just applying
He's
for
on-
his pro boxer's license.
Right.
All right, I'll cross that
All
out,
right.
but I did verify him with USA Boxing,
think
and
he's
Jim
on the
Perella
board.
remembers him, he said he was a decent fighter, he was with them for 5 years. USA
Julian
Boxing.
Pollard?
Yeah,
Did we approve his that application? Did we approve?
yes, pending that. So, once I got the verification from Jim Perella, I
Okay.
Decided downstairs. I was like, I'm stealing that guy's spot.
Everything else reflects my memory of what we voted and how we voted. Yeah.
Okay, motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting for December 6th, 2012.
With that correction or
With that correction.
of eliminating that last fight?
Need a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, Ralph Johnson, he's not here, right?
Not yet, no.
table.
We'll table that to the end of the meeting.
What was that?
Suspension was,
There is no suspension.
Table that because
Right.
there were no fights in between this meeting and the last meeting.
all right, so, the Ralph Johnson, he was the individual who came in. He had forged some medical documents, we suspended him
The tall.
indefinitely.
Yeah.
He's coming back to
Appeal to the board.
appeal to us, so that's fine.
Okay.
He's not here at the moment. MMA record keeping promoter fees.
Oh,
Yeah.
He was supposed to come in and talk about this.
No, he'll be available by phone if we wanna call him.
Christopher
Chris
Palmquist?
Palmquist.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there was a recommendation that when we
See Kirk
collect the
Clapper?
official pay at the end of the night with each fight, that they pay the $50 as well for this, because nobody's paying them, and
I think it's
it's $100?
$100 for promoter.
How are they managing it with us, other states? Because this is national.
Because, well, our state's pretty bad with it, 'cause it looks like all nobody's paying them really. They say supposedly the outstanding total for the Massachusetts promoters is $4,000 right now. Or it was.
I think the way to go about it, I don't know if we want to get involved in money collection for private business at fights, but I think a way we can go about it is if we think inclusion on that registry is an important function for us to monitor fighters, we can have that requirement of their license that they sign up and
That they have no outstanding fees, maybe,
that they sign up with MMA, well, but then you get a
policing.
monopoly situation too,
And I
where we're
think
sparing
that- right.
fees to a private business, so.
Well, but like Fight Facts, we do.
We pay for
with
Fight
this,
Facts.
but we pay for Fight Facts. That costs the promoters nothing.
Yeah,
Now,
'cause
in
they
other
said
states, they
they're not
require
gonna let us look
The
up.
commissions tell them,
anything
you
on
will
their
provide us
website.
with the current Fight
The
Facts, and you
promoters
pay for them.
don't say.
We did that at one time, and we stopped doing that. We get charged $10 per inquiry,
Mhm.
But this, I think.
per fighter.
I think
But they're the only approved place to go, is Fight Facts. Those are the only recognized, approved boxing,
Yes.
data collection service. And so this MMA is the only one that is approved. So it's not that we're allowing the monopoly, that we choose each year. I mean, another one could come up and we could choose to go with the other company, but it's not likely when someone's got a foothold in there with all the data, someone else to come up with, starting off with brand new
They're
data is
local,
pretty
they're
tough.
reliable, they're credible. I mean, I have no problem that we use them, just a few suggestions.
Yeah.
Well,
How do you do it
$100
without-
to show that they're supposed to go into the ABC website and register.
Pro and amateur?
And pay the $100 fee.
The fighter or the promoter?
The promoter, each event.
Pro and am.
I believe so. Yeah, because
Yes,
they have
it's a-
amateur
it's a fine, yes.
suspension.
For each show, per show?
Mhm.
Should we ask any of the
Yeah, we have a couple of
promoters that we
promoters
have
here.
here, what their take is on that, and what they know of it, and what their thoughts are on
Do you
it?
have,
I've never used it. I've used it before, remember Made.TV, you're talking about registering your event with them?
Mhm.
There's a way to do it for free.
Right, yeah, I've never paid.
Yeah, you just register.
A lot of people have never paid apparently,
Well,
quite.
you
that
don't
would-
have to, like, what Mike's saying, that's, you know, you can register, you know, we have registered our events, but it doesn't cost you to register your event. You put your fight card and whatnot, but, you know, as far as paying it, I, you know, never had to.
We probably should.
Actually, both your names are on this list that they provided to us.
Yeah,
Yeah, that did.
What if it went away?
if we didn't have to pay it.
No,
The what?
the site went away and they didn't allow us, they didn't allow Massachusetts to have access to that site.
I don't really
So-
care. I mean, it doesn't really, it doesn't do
Well,
anything for me, I don't really.
but from our perspective, we want,
No,
that,
we need to
that's
know.
our recognized.
know
Yeah,
what
that, but that's.
That's how we
right, but That's
verify.
for you, that, for me, you know.
Well,
But by extension, you wanna get your card approved, we have to verify records before we sign off on a card.
Yeah, assuming that that's the only, I mean, it's not the only source out there,
Well,
I could go to Sure Dog
Sure
and do the same
Dog
thing.
and-
You know, and pay Sure Dog because it's they're just as big and just as.
At one point in time, it was only $50. I remember when I first started doing
I
events.
think you're right.
It was
Yeah,
only
I
$50.
remember
Well,
that
the thing is,
too.
this is, we can get him on the phone so he can ask you questions, but
This is available by phone.
didn't we decide, when we even brought them in here, that they were going to be the only ones recognized to have the
And they're recognized by the ABC, I believe, and
Yes,
thus,
they
as
are.
us, as members of the ABC, we sign on along
Yeah,
with
they
all
only-
of the other commissions.
My access will be eliminated, you know, all of our access.
And we
will
don't
be
have no
eliminated.
official, way of finding,
Suspensions.
yeah.
things
So it may have to be included in the application fee,
Who updates
if
it?
it's something that we.
Well, the easiest
that
way
we
out of it
need.
like that.
was,
Chris Palmquist and Carrick.
Carrick.
No, no,
Yes.
I mean, on suspensions and stuff, like who does that?
We have our suspensions and we forward that information to them.
And then they
And they update it, yeah.
Okay.
You can send your results yourself too, and they'll take them.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as like suspensions and stuff, like who was doing that?
They should be only taking suspension information from the commissions.
But you can do your results.
Can you cap it? Because like Mike said, it was at one time 50, and if it's 100,
we
who's to
don't
say it
really,
doesn't go to?
can't get involved in that end of it. And the only reason why it's come to the board is because they've threatened to take the site down now, because of payments that are due them. And I explained to them, there's no way we can be their collection agency to, you know, to collect the fees. They sent us a list of everybody that owes the fees.
Yeah, like if you
No,
look
but-
at this list, it showed you owe like $800 and you owe $700.
Quick question, who determines that we owe it? They've never sent us bills, they never.
Yeah, I
But
never-
that's why we don't want to get involved in it.
Yeah,
because we-
And that's the
Right.
other, and here's the thing, if we, like you said, we can't get involved in collecting these fees.
Mhm.
So, why are we even discussing this? We really can't do anything about this.
Because they're about to shut it off
So,
from Massachusetts. and
but
we'll have-
the only thing that we can say, and maybe we need to get a word out to the promoters is
Moving
if you
forward,
don't
make sure you're
do
on it.
this, and they shut us out, you will not get an event approved, because we need to be able to check your fighters and see if they're, what their
Right,
records are.
and you
suspension.
say, taking that stance right there, telling us promoters we have to be sure to be on this site, up in.
Some site that we have
or
access to.
yeah, whatever you guys
That's
are, you know,
the
going to,
unofficial.
right, but up until this point, you know,
Okay.
it was
I
never
think
a,
that's.
Yeah, you've never had
Supposed
a
to be
discussion
here.
with,
Right.
with
no,
Chris
Palmquist
Palmquist.
never said, you know, Massachusetts is requiring you to be here, and you have to be here, or, you know, anything else.
No,
But we sanctioned this organization. We did
Right.
sanction this
Because
organization.
the ABC.
Along with
and
ABC,
most
we
other states-
ratified it by as a virtue of our
Right,
membership
and
in
we actually
ABC.
knew the rules and regulations of what they require, and one of the things they required was the fee from the promoters. So, that's why the easiest way out of this whole thing, so we're not getting into the collection, but basically where we are, is to collect at the same time as we collect the official pay, make that one of the checks that they have to make out to us, but I agree with you, Joseph.
I don't think we can do that. I don't think we can do that, because then,
Well, here's what we
We'll-
can do, is that if an official, and as far as past collections do, that's a problem, and I believe both you guys, that no one has been in touch with you, no one has sent you bills, so that's sloppy on their end. So I'm not really concerned with what's happened in the past. But going forward, if we're going to approve a card, then they're standing, they should be in good standing with the MMA record.
And maybe they should bring proof that they've registered
their event
with their
online.
event online. That way we know that you've already paid your fee and you did whatever you need to do. Did you have a comment?
Joe Leonard from westernmass.ma.com. I was wondering, what does the commission require of a website to be accepted, to give records, so you could verify records? Say there's another option, if there's one site goes away, how do you get another site approved by
They're presented to the Association of Boxing Commissions, which is a national organization that we all belong to, one of the commissions basically in the country belong to. And with boxing, there's BoxRec, and they have attempted to get into and get approved by the ABC, but it's been Fight Facts for a number of years. It still is Fight Facts with the MMA, because this is fairly new for us, only being licensing it for the past 3 years. They were the first to become affiliated and or approved by the ABC, and I'm not sure what other organizations, and I'm trying to go back, because I was at the convention when this came up 5 years ago, and those guys, Kirk and Almquist were there, and they were the first guys kind of out of the gate with it, and they, so that's how they got a foothold, that's how they're in there, they've been sanctioned, and I believe it's voted, I'm pretty sure, once a year they look that over, and I'm not positive on that, but my memory serves me well.
He was
So you
affiliated
So
with them.
Association of
They would
Boxing
tell me
Commissions,
what I
Tim
need to have.
Lukonoff
Yeah.
is the head guy there.
So I feel like we have a pretty decent library over the past 2 or 3 years now of
Mhm.
video reviews, things that you can verify who's won, who's lost.
The
Times
advantage MMA has is they're in just about all of the states that do it, so
Sure.
they're fairly preeminent in the field. SureDog, I think, in the past has been pretty good, but there's been some question as to who was sending in results, because sometimes some of the records that showed up on SureDog were different than, records that were declared by the fighters. But with MMA, we send, Ron, you send that directly to them, all of our results.
As far as
And we also
That's
found
the
out
only
with BoxRec
recognized
Right.
and Fight Facts, there would be some discrepancies. We had to hold one as, that's the one that limited our liability, I believe, because they were the, sanctioned record keeper for the country.
Pay a yearly fee to them to be.
Weren't we in a position when Todd was sitting on where we made it mandatory that the promoters had to report the information to Carrick's organization? And because that was gonna be our responsibility to go in and check information at that site. I don't see where it would be our responsibility to check, if you would come up with a site and check 40 different sites to see what people's records are. They were dubbed the site that the ABC was using. And if there's a fee that's associated, that Carrick has associated with that, maybe we should just get Palmquist on the phone and have them try to explain that to us, so that we understand where our ground is. But it appears that you guys haven't been given due diligence in terms of the fees that you're supposed to pay, and we know that we're making it required that that information is posted, because that is the official site that we look at as a commission.
We can't function as a commission without access to that site, I believe.
Right.
Correct. If they shut us off,
So if they're shutting us off, as far as I'm concerned, we can't run an MMA event until.
Because we can't get an official record.
correct.
And in the grand scheme of things, it prevents you guys from running in here 3 weeks before a fight, trying to justify a record that we have question with, when we can just go to MMA and look at it, because we all agree that it's a credible site and that it's approved by the ABC and by us. Is there a big deal in paying $100 per show, a fee to MMA.TV?
Mike, did you have some?
Just backtracking one
Just
second.
introduce yourself.
Sorry, Michael Paul, Vacations. I would have no issue as a promoter paying the state because you guys are the ones who report the results to MMA.TV after the event because they don't take the results from us. So what Guy was suggesting, if we just paid you and it was part of your fees, because you are the ones that reported to MMA.TV, not us.
Well, I didn't mainly make it part of our fees. What I wanted to do, what I suggested was to make it part of the fees that we collected at the fight when we paid the officials. And at least we know they got the money, we got it from that night, while we collect, yeah, we are, but it's a small thing because most of the time, Chris is right there, he could get it, or we'd have no problem sending that check off to
It
him.
would be made out direct to them, but wouldn't be
Directly
coming to
to
the
them.
state,
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
right.
Same as the official page is not made out to us.
Right, correct.
No.
According to Carrick's email to us a couple months ago, when we started all this, Massachusetts opted for the promoters to directly register with them.
We wanted to try to stay outside of it, and as a result, here's where we
But you do
are.
have the option of us collecting the fee, and we'll get a bill from them monthly or whatever, and then the state can send it off to them.
So then that sounds like
It
you're
is
putting
an
a check
option,
in our
but
name.
But I don't wanna
we
do
only
that.
wanna get involved.
No, we don't.
No.
And I went,
Could
we'll
they have
go
a
to that.
representative at the event where we could have them pay the fee to them and give it?
No, I
Not
think
every
the
town.
easiest, I don't think they have any representative.
Not
I think
every
the easiest
town.
thing would be to
No.
collect that with the official pay, and we would give them that, in that list, would say $100 for.
In an envelope with a stamp on it, and we
We
mail
send it right off.
it. We mail it.
Yes, most all of the commissions have the promoters go directly themselves, they don't get
Right,
involved with it.
and that's what we should do. We could, as a courtesy, hand the check off to them. It has to be made payable to them, otherwise it's an accounting nightmare. But
Right.
I think results should be coming from us, not the promoter, because
No, they do come.
those are the official
come from us.
state
They
results,
only
right?
take
I
them
don't
from
like
us.
that suggestion that the promoter reports the results.
No, I've
And-
always done the results after every show, I send them in.
Madam Chair, if I may, another suggestion might be to reach out and just go on the ABC website to Tim, and then Tim will ask all of the commissioners to respond. How are they dealing with it? And in terms of collections and
Well,
whatnot.
Why can't we
He
ask
sent
Chris?
us-
Conquest?
Yeah, let's get
Oh,
Chris on the phone.
No, he said that it's working with all the other states. Only a few states have collected it themselves and sent it in, but the majority, the promoters do it themselves, and they are getting
Then what
favorable.
then what they're
I mean,
doing
it's
is
working with
is
the other
they've got some
states.
list, they're not taking an application from someone who's delinquent on reporting.
Right, but as part of a public
So-
hearing, we should have Chris Palmquist say what they're doing rather than
Mhm.
paraphrasing
Yeah,
emails that he's
um,
sending in. Especially if we're gonna start telling promoters that they need to.
I got it.
Plus, that takes us out of the loop from sending 1099s out.
We don't want
Absolutely.
We're just forwarding a check. Toss of a stamp.
Hi, Chris?
Yeah,
This is Letitia Adams, Chair of the Athletic Commission. How are you?
hi, how are you, Leticia?
Good, thank you. Hey, listen, we're discussing the MMA record keeping and promoter fees.
Okay,
And you're on a speakerphone, in the open meeting.
okay.
And we wanted to ask you some questions relative to how the other states are handling the promoter fee that you require.
Okay, absolutely. Generally speaking, athletic commissions handle the fee one of two ways. The majority of commissions require their promoters to get credentials from us to log into our online system. And then the promoters themselves enter their event information and pay the fee online during that process. And that information is immediately available in the proprietary system that we built for the athletic commission to log into. So as soon as they do it, you guys can see that on your end as well. And then there's a small amount of information, I would say 4 or 5, that just, they pay the fees themselves, and we bill them quarterly for those fees. At the first, every quarter.
Chris, Joe Krowski, how are you?
Hi Joe, how are you?
I'm doing fine. Which system do you find works better out of those two?
It's obviously best to have the promoters register in advance and just pay the fee when they do that.
How much is the
Then
fee?
there's no collection on our end. It's also more beneficial to you guys because the events are in the system already, so you guys can get in there and look up the events, and if they have a fight card, you can see the fighters they use, they intend to use or suspend it or not. It's a better way to do it. Some of the states that we bill quarterly to pay for it still have the ability to do that, they just don't get charged the fee when they go through the process.
How many states are you up and running in now?
Pretty much all of them. There's a small exception, but most of the states you comply, including all the big ones, Ohio, California, Texas. So I would say all of them except mostly, West Canada. Canada is difficult, but in the U.S., it's mostly states.
How much are your fees?
The fee is $100 per event. So it's based off the event, not the number of fighters, and not for, so if a promoter has more than one event, it's $100 for each event.
And has that been $100 for a while, or is that a new fee? Is that an increase?
No, it was $50 from July 1st, 2008 till July 1st, 2011. So it was a discount rate when we began the process back in 2008. But since July 1st, 2011, the fee is $600.
Chris, this is Guy.
Hey guys.
Hi. The board approved your package that you sent in with a $50 fee. Did you notify us that it was going up to $100?
Yeah, we did. Originally in 2008, when our contract with the ABC, the fee was always $100. We basically discounted it for 3 years to kind of grow adoption, but it was always intended to be $100 per event.
And that's gonna be the fee, that's not gonna increase at any point?
No, that's it, pretty much. Our contract with the ABC is every 3 years, basically perpetually.
3 years.
And it auto renews every 3 years, and there's no rate decrease going forward.
Chris, this is Gary Litchfield. How are you?
Good morning, Gary.
It seems we have in the room here, and this is an open meeting, we have other business before us, including a couple of promoters who are here. I just wanted to let you know that they may ask a question through the chair, and I think would allow that just because I think it'll give us a little more perspective on how things are done. But what I'm hearing is that they haven't been notified or, are not privy to the same information we were sent in terms of how many events they were lacking in fees and or which events did not get registered. I've heard that there was a way you could actually register an event at no cost. And like from their perspective, why would we not register it for no cost versus register it for $100? Obviously, there is a little disparity from where you sit, I'm sure, on that. But we want to have, obviously, access to this, and I think that, we're in a new year here. Going forward, I think maybe we can design something that all new fights coming before us, we can check through our staff here that they have been registered, and if they are registered, can we assume the fee was paid?
Yes. There used to be pretty much a loophole in our system whereby if a promoter registered but they didn't choose an athletic commission, they would let them go through the process.
I see.
Paying the fee. So that's obviously been closed. It was just more of a technical loophole where we assumed everybody would pick that athletic commission if they were supposed to.
Okay, so that was figured out. So now, as long as they've chosen Mass State Athletic Commission as their commission for anything that's in our purview, if it is a registered event, we can assume their fee was paid, because you're not gonna register with it without them going online with the credit card and and paying their fee, correct?
Correct, so now there's basically no way to go through the process without being.
Okay, well, it sounds like that's gonna solve our problem. If all we need is for our staff, or Ronnie or Jen to, when an application comes in and the event is approved, at that point, it would seem to be, then they would wanna register. Once they're, I can believe the guy's not gonna maybe wanna register and pay $100 if for some reason the event doesn't get approved. So once we've approved an application for an event, between then and when we approve their fight card and or approve their fight, going forward, when they're getting their information in, part of that information in the checkbox is that the event is up and registered through the site. And then there's no issue. Once we check it and we see, yep, that event, January 26th, Mike Bovee, his event is registered on the MMA site, we know that the fee's paid, there is no issue. And going forward, I think that's the way, from my perspective, I'd like to proceed with this. And in terms of where you are with fees from behind, I don't know how that got to where it was, but I don't see that we're in a position to do much about that. I think we can't get involved in old collections for water over the dam, so to speak.
Yeah, Gary, honestly, it's not an issue, going backwards. We've dealt with, every AC has kind of gone through their growing pains and, getting the system to be used, and we'd rather concentrate on going forward.
Okay.
We just made a big progress, like in California, and they were in the rears, tens of thousands of dollars, and we still just settle with them as long as they're going to be compliant going forward.
Well, I think that sums it up. If you've got your loophole fixed in your system, we can check very simply, the event does not go on, and we're not going to send our staff out to an event. As far as we're concerned, the event would get canceled. If that event is not properly registered with you and the fee paid, we're not going to allow it to go forward. That would be my personal position.
I support that. I'm ready. Are we ready to put a motion on the table?
Yeah, I just have one other question.
Sure.
Chris, do you have a procedure that's in writing that you send out to promoters or to commissions? And if so, can we get a copy of that?
Yeah, absolutely.
And we can forward it to the commission.
Ronnie, in the past, I have a manual for the athletic commission for their side, so they can get in the system and see how it works. I also have a manual for the promoters. We have a template letter that athletic commissions would use to send the promoters to tell them how to, get set up on the process.
Is it online?
I have all that paperwork that I can send over to you guys today if you need it. I think I have it handy right now.
Okay, so if you could send that to Ronnie, and I think that's good. Got a motion you want to put on the floor?
I would make a motion that going forward for any MMA events that are scheduled and or to be scheduled, that we verify prior to the event taking place and us sending our staff out there that the event is at some point after the event is approved, that it is registered online. Any fees necessary, it seems to be the $100 fee, needs to be paid by the promoter, would be paid at the same time they're registering their event, and then there is going forward no issue.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
And, again, the fact that is there is a 3-year contract with the ABC, and us being part of the ABC, we're kind of held that that's voted on by the body at the convention as to whether or not this group stays in there. So if someone else if another company chose to challenge your position and wanted to get their data base in where you are now, then that would have to go before the ABC and be voted on by the body, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, we've been the record keeper for them since 2008.
Yeah, I believe I was at that convention actually and met you guys back in 2008 when when the ABC put you guys in place.
Right. So our contract, I think it's every 3 years and it auto renews. So our current contract is out 2014. But we're in a pretty solid position where I don't know if anybody could even do what we do anymore. There's only a couple legitimate sources of the data that exists, and we're one of them. And there's one more that it really is an interesting posted in our position, so I think we're gonna be around for a while.
Well, that-
Okay.
plus you're local, we all know you, that's great, and just, this is Joe Kraus again, pass along to Joe Lozon and his opponent, they did the sport very proud on their last fight.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
All right, Happy New
Thanks,
Year's, Chris,
Chris.
thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Bye-bye.
Good luck, thank you very much.
Okay.
Did that hang it up? Yeah.
Oh,
All right, so then I guess the other thing that we're gonna need to do, is we require, make that a requirement to promoters that they register, before we approve any fight cards.
Well, I'll write something up, and I'll go over it, and I'll send it to other promoters. You know, once I get the packet from him, I'll forward it.
Well, that's why I wanted to see that new procedure, that it says it.
right.
Yeah, as long as we get.
It'll be easy just to forward it on.
I agree, though, they don't have to do it before they get the initial card approved, because what if the venue changes or something, they paid that
No, I
$100, then they're dealing with trying to get it back, so
Right.
pending final approval of the event, they have to be registered.
Or maybe have it in the time that you guys are requiring, like, insurance policy.
Right.
That's kind of like that last
The
stretch.
10-day,
Right,
a 10-day window.
Right, that last
Yep.
stretch to the actual event.